For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, and welcome to Deusinte, God in You. It's a new podcast with a not-so-new topic. It's inspired from a Bible verse, John chapter 10, verse 34, but it's also because my girlfriend and I love to talk about growth and spirituality. We also love to talk about food and ways, natural means that we can help our body and we can heal our body. So some of our friends and acquaintances expressed a desire to be part of these conversations, and that's how we got here. Every week, I aim to have a conversation mainly with my good friend and author. She's also a PhD holder. She lives in Vienna and her name is Uche. And I am Anita, your friend from Canada. I also own a processing packaging company called Nikita Foods Canada, and that will be the food section of this topic. And Uche will bring her knowledge of natural means and ways to take care of our skin, our hair, and beauty from within, expressing itself without. The first conversation is about our learning from creating our ideal reality. We will talk around topics concerning meditation, contrast, visualization or imagination, and generally the concept of self. How can we use these tools to reach our ideal reality, and therefore what makes our souls satisfied and content? So here's a piece of the conversation. I hope you enjoy it. And we will be back next week with more topics for you. We're all here trying to create our own realities, and that's what gives us the deepest satisfaction. And there's so many people that are waiting to hear this message, right? Because they are also wondering what's been missing, right? And we've done this journey up to this point, and very happy with the journey. And I think it's time that we can start sharing, with joy and all that. So
okay. And so, how was your week then? How did your week go?
Well, in terms of my week was really, really good. One of the things that I had been visualizing actually came to pass, and it was so awesome. I had been visualizing this meeting with this lady, and it happened exactly the way I visualized it. And I actually got the piece of information that I wanted to get, and it was awesome. So yeah, it was a really good week. There were ups and downs. So while this was happening, and I think, in terms of my creation, I have to work on smoother creations, right? Because I seem to have really high highs and then something really low would happen. But through it, that 7-day mental diet that we've been talking about really helped me maintain equilibrium with the low, when contrasting situations were happening. And for those who don't know what a contrast means, it just means something that isn't what you want, something that is unwanted happening in your daily activity. And so I immediately recognized, that I should not offer a vibration. I'm going to use technical terms here based on those incidents that were happening, the things that I didn't want, but that I had to maintain my equilibrium, so to speak, throughout the week. And I tried really hard. It kind of collapsed yesterday. And so I had to do some revision this morning. as to, okay, going back to what do you really want? And going back to what you said last week is sort of like, we all have compartments in our lives, and yes, they all merge to become you, but it's like compartments of money, compartments of family, career, that sort of thing. And so I had to take a look at some other things that I wanted along the way, and also incorporate my vision and my dream. And that was what I focused on today as I meditated. So what about you? Let's share about your week.
My week was good because we spoke last week about breaking it into different areas, because everyone has that, which is basically health and well-being, and then relationships, as in love, as in family, or whatever that is for you. And then, of course, work, as in career, what you're doing. And so I sort of like portioned it into these, the experiences, because, these experiences, because these things, where you live, that's, so your environment, So,
yeah.
Because, of course, we've been going along the lines of like creating.
Yeah.
And and there are so many thoughts and emotions, and they're different in these different areas.
Agreed. That's right.
So it's completely different. So one area might be flowing for you in terms of self-concept, as in maybe in one area might be flowing for you, and then another area is not.
That's right.
For you, because maybe in terms of your career or
yes,
something
or family life, yeah.
So last week I now got that kind of like that. I sort of received that this is a path that I should focus on and develop it as a whole thing. and this week, that's what I've been sort of working on in terms of. I think I took it all back to in these different areas, because in my in our journey, it's realizing that everything that I experience, all the interactions, everything, and in these different areas, is something that is inside me.
Yes.
Like that, I believe some block. So if it's flowing, then that's good. If it's not flowing, everything, I really literally create my experience.
That's right.
And these are unknown beliefs, because they are buried. We grow up and we don't know where we picked it up. We pick it up. We pick it up along the way from but we don't even know that we have these beliefs. But then what they do is that they give us these assumptions.
Yes.
So you automatically, in every situation, because of some buried, not even known anymore, because it's now in your habit.
It's a belief system. Exactly. It's a habitual thought.
So it's exactly. So it's in some realm, some place that you don't have any idea, but you assume. And when you assume that your assumptions, you're basically creating it, because then you see a situation or you think this, and you don't even know that you think this because of that, and that. But the things you think, like for example, if it's money, it could be money, or it could be even your relationships, your intimate relationships, if you have a partner, or if you have a family or whatever, and then you have this thing buried.
So let's bring it down for our listeners. Can you give us an example, as much as you can, right? With privacy, obviously, but just pick an example of like a thought, a belief system that you worked on. Realizing that the energy I bring to it is distinct from the energy I bring to, for example, I know you're writing. So the example I will give it, the energy you bring to your writing is different from this particular energy. Could you give us just an example of something you worked on and the insights that you got this week?
Well, I think that one of the insights, and of course, I'm going to, one of the things that came to me in the last maybe 2-3 days is something about trust. And I think trust, and I think that trust it's not that, and if I ask myself before that who are you, because I trust things quite easily on the surface, like quite easily on the surface. So but then I think, because again, I realized that in a subconscious program kind of way, especially in particular situations, and it's leading on from something we discussed last week, that by the fact that you don't, if you don't maybe think about the situation, that the other, I'm just using it in a very kind of way because I don't want it to be too
obviously, yes,
so much detail. But if you think something, if you assume something about a situation, it's not going to
work. That's right.
Or this, yes. So when you do that, that's not trusting. Of course, you're going to have, trust issues. You're going to actually encounter situations because of the fact that you are not in particular circumstances with more, maybe a little bit of, you're not trusting. You keep on encountering situations where you more know, maybe let me use an example. The other person can't do this. That person doesn't do this. It's an assumption, a deeply buried belief, but that you don't even know you have. So then, and then you recreate it. Probably, yes, something. So trust filtered into my mind. Okay, situation. Always, that's an assumption. Always, that that situation is not gonna work. It can be handled this way. So, and yes, so I would say that is something that I had just I'm going through now. So I'm now just sort of like revising it. It's like I'm now working on that. I'm now going to sit in that space. I have to now open that up. So I have to put that as part of my self-concept to work on.
Right.
Which is more, when you now sort of go into, I am, my experiences are always trusting. I'm very, so I have to go into that. I have to now work on that because now I see that there's an assumption, there's a block there.
Right.
Obviously, if you carry that, of course you're going to encounter situations, but you're just going to attract it easily. So
right.
I think that's a good one that I'm currently.
Yeah. And I think this journey is just about identifying things that offer unnecessary resistance along the way to what we want. So for instance, if what you want is, this is just a very broad example. And every woman I think will identify this. I want a harmonious home. I want a home where, the children are happy, where my husband or my partner is happy. And if you don't have one, where I'm happy, just be by myself. You want that harmony in your home because your home is your palace, right? That's where you come home and, everything is about you. Once you step out into the world, it's a totally different case. And so because we instinctively desire that harmony, when it's not there, it's kind of unbalancing. And so we have learned that visualizing and imagination is where everything is. It's where God is. It's where our inner self is, our higher self is. And it's about once you've identified whatever is putting unnecessary resistance or difficulty into the full concept of who you are. I can't imagine you being the full concept of who you are with a disharmony in your home. That's just not going to happen, and so once you've identified it, it's to begin to visualize. And I think that's what you're doing. Identifying it was key. Here is the thing that I think is putting unnecessary resistance in my path. And then visualizing what would my life look like if I just flow. And so we come back to those words. If I flow with what's going on, knowing that I have visualized this perfect family for myself, and knowing that I can be and do and have anything I desire. I want a harmonious family life, family experience, a joyous family experience. And you go to the end and begin to visualize that. And so throughout the day, it's about maintaining that state. Of course, in visualizing the harmonious life, you are in that perfect state of equilibrium. And so if you go throughout your day, maintaining that state, living from the end, it's clear that when things appear in your path, you're going to be unruffled, right? When the resistance appears, you will be unruffled because you're like, hey, you're something that happened a long time ago. I was thinking you a long time ago, and I don't need to keep thinking you anymore. I've identified your putting resistance in my path. And I'm just going to keep focusing on my harmonious, life, or my harmonious family. And, I also realized it this week, and it's so interesting. So for our listeners, Uch and I, we kind of learned the same things during the week, even though she's way in Austria, and I'm here in Canada. But today, I actually visualized it was about family, and I remember saying to myself as I was doing my morning things, and I was thinking, okay, I am going to meditate on my family life. And I remember thinking, hey, but that's not, where meditating, because my primary meditation now and creation is on the path of career and money. And I remember thinking, hey, but that's not, what we're supposed to be focusing on. But a thought just occurred to me, and it said, yeah, but there are other aspects of your life too. And you have to paint a picture of what you want that to be. And so I spent today's meditation on it. And it was funny. It wasn't just about me and my kids. It was also about extended family, because I got a call from someone today, and I found a lot of joy in just imagining it, not in seeing that person as who they really are, not who they not the person that called me, right? And was talking to me, but I got so much joy from seeing them in their element as their higher self, doing all the things that they were meant to do. So it was a whole lot of things, but that was what my energy was about. And I love what you said. You have so much insight. I keep telling you this, Uche. The energy you use for different aspects of your life, they're different. And so the energy I put into my career is a totally different energy I put into my family. And I can't explain it. It's almost like if you would see those energies, they would be in different colors. But it's a different area of I felt a different area. And I felt, it's almost like, you're tuning a bicycle, and, sometimes you turn it right, and it locks, and then you have to release it a little bit, and that's what it was. I feel like the energy for career is a very charged energy for me, but the energy for my family is a much softer energy, and it immediately made me smile when I went into it. So yeah, that's a lot of insight. They come with different energies, but they are just as valid, because all these are desires that you've put into your, I would use the word vortex, but I don't know if our listeners will understand.
Yeah, because as you said, I think maybe we come from, earlier when you said you can't really be happy, okay, if only one side, but the other side is not in either, because so you want everything. It's a flow state, and when it's flowing, it's good. It's not that you shouldn't be happy. Of course, you should be happy in spite of it. That's the point where we're talking about becoming it, because that's the creation. The creation is not from reality to, as in when you see what it is, then you create something from it. No, it's actually to identify over you, which many people do. You identify what you want along the way. You don't even know, I want this. So you have that already, and it's like very developed, it's massive, it's huge. And then, but in general, it falls under broad aspects, because people, in terms of like family and all that, work and money and environment and all that. So and then so when you do all that, so there's something that you now want. So for you to actually get it, because you have a desire, for you to actually get it, you have to create it, and that is the biggest thing. That you have to be it. That means you have to be full, because of course God is full. I am. So I am is full, and I am is present. And I don't. I'm trying. I don't want to get so technical, because because it's a complete picture. When you God, it's like it's complete, and creation is complete. So it's all about becoming that state, and that's one of the things that I also recognized. I've recognized it, but it's always a deeper layer of understanding. Like you now feel it more profoundly. Like every time I'm like, okay, and it sort of sinks in a little deeper, and I realized that there's this because God is love, we all know that God is love, and there's not a there's a frequency actually, but there's a love that surrounds everything in the entire anything that you see, anything. It's almost like you can't see it, and that is the access to it that you have. So everything is flowing and moving in it. Then our job is to basically almost pay attention to practice it, and that's where prayer comes from. Prayer comes from when you go into these happy states, when you go into these love states, when you go into joy, when you go into celebration and worship and reverie, because that's your closest. Then that's the closest. That's the bliss state, and God is in the bliss state. You have to. So seeing your environment, what you just told me this morning when you spoke to a relative and you saw the relative's real essence, and what you did was, which is exactly what came to me again in a different way, because I got it. What you did was came to me in a different way. Is that when you see everybody around you and every happening through the lens of love, which is where God sees the heart, sees his essence, God sees love, and we now have to learn how to do that. It's literally you're almost you find yourself in a higher. When you do that, you automatically get closer to what you want. If in any situation, so when you have, like, let's say you work in an office, or you work, or in your home, or where are the common places, you're able to see that person's infinite self. That's God, because God sees. That's the journey that we have to take, because it's there. It has to be practiced. We're learning to connect to God through love. So it literally came to me in that different way again. But the same thing you did this morning is actually something I think when it came out as a meditation, I wrote it down. I said yes, but it's the same, but it got deeper. How much? That's why in every situation you have to change it around if possible. You have to revise it.
Yes.
Because you see, just that you revise it, and that's a big thing. Revision is excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about revision, because revision is excellent. But that's something I use as a tool to free myself from situation.
Yes.
So maybe you have something that you can say.
Okay, I think we need to wrap this call up. We went way beyond our 20 minutes, but we always do. And now we can chit chat on our own. Thank you very much for listening, and speak to you next week.
Has it been a while since you flipped that thermostat from heat to cool? Turn to the experts at Griffith Energy Services before you do for an $88 AC start and check to make sure your AC is in tip-top shape. Griffith specializes in Carrier, but services all brands. Visit GriffithEnergyServices.com today. Your local Carrier expert. That's GriffithEnergyServices.com. License number MD-HVACR 01-2278.
Griffith Energy Services. Doggone dependable.
Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably been hearing a lot about the stock market lately. Millions of people are beginning to invest for the first time ever. And we're realizing that the financial system should be built to work for us. That's why Robinhood is creating real human education resources, truly digestible financial news, and a platform that lets you invest in your own way, on your own terms. The next generation of investors is already here, and it includes you. Robinhood. Investing is risky. Robinhood Financial, LLC.